Hey Chicky, I thought I came up with a great idea of doing a couple of videos to send to you with some information, seeing as we've sort of found it a little bit hard to get together and go through this in person. But I do still want to get together in person and have a coffee and some chit chat and go through the fun stuff. The fun stuff of homeschooling is when you actually get to, just gather all the information, like kind of work out what you want your homeschool to look like or what you want your homeschool lifestyle to look like. And you decide what you're going to do with your children or what your children are interested in doing. And you kind of put it all together and you come up with, a schedule and what your child wants to work on, what the child may need to work on, all that stuff. That's the fun stuff. But then there's other things that I think is really good to know, especially coming when you're moving from the mainstream schooling into homeschooling. So yeah, I just want to go through some things, like there's some legal type stuff just to know, because it's good to know it. Because when you get bombarded with questions by people that don't understand homeschooling, just knowing some of these things can be really, really helpful. I have a coffee in hand, so have a coffee with me. All right. Okay, so let's go through this. What is the compulsory school age? Now, I'm going to start off with that because you'll be surprised. The compulsory school age in Queensland is from 6.5, not 3, and to the age of 16. So when we're with a school, the school system is set up in such a way that the school is the expert, and then the parents and the kids, we all follow the rules. So when we come into homeschooling, yes, we register with the home education unit, but they're not necessarily like the expert. That's going to possibly completely break what you've ever known before. They're more like, they're there just to make sure that everything's sort of going well, in a way, like making sure that the parents who are home educating their children are in complete understanding of what their child's educational and holistic and developmental needs are. Because homeschooling isn't just about schooling, it actually involves the whole gamut of parenting. And the home education unit also understands that. So that's where we start seeing things are really different. So when your child comes to the age of 16, after age 16, and then the year they turn 17, actually, the home education unit says, hey, this is the last year that you need to report to us about what your child is doing, because they're going to be 17 by the end of this year. And if your child is still in high school, like actually still doing year 12, well, go them, It just means that you won't have the home education unit to report to in that last year of your child's schooling if they're still homeschooling, and if they're doing year 12, and if they're older than 16 and 17, right? So just putting that out there. All right, so who gets to decide on home education for a child? A parent has the right in choosing a schooling option for their children. So basically, it is up to the parents. It's up to every one of us to choose what we want for our children regarding their education. So the main group of people in society will choose either state schooling or private schooling. And then you've got a minor few who choose independent schooling. And then you've got another minor few who choose homeschooling. It's totally up to us. And totally up to us. Can a school refuse to cancel my child's enrollment? So I know you were having a little bit of trouble with the school of your kids. You were mentioning to them that you were considering homeschooling, and it sounded like they were putting up some barriers to that. They're not actually allowed. They're legally not allowed to not release your child. That just blows my mind. So, as it is a parent's responsibility to choose an educational environment for their child, and a school is not the parent, the school has no right to maintain an enrollment where the parent has notified them that they're going to do homeschooling. Okay, so yes, as long as you've sent that email to advise that you are withdrawing the children from the school and that you will be applying to the home education unit for homeschooling, kind regards. As long as you've sent that email, that's it. There is no more discussion or argument or anything else that needs to happen. Like, the minute a parent makes a different choice, the parent legally has every right under Queensland law to do so, and it's really not up to the experts to come and say, oh, well, we think your child should do this or should do that. It is as long as your child is enrolled at that school. It's not once the child is withdrawn from that school. But the next question is, will I get in trouble if the school claims my child is truant, right? So that means that the child is, like, I guess, breaking the law somehow. Once you have notified the school of your intent and application to home educate your child, you are no longer bound by the truancy rules associated with a school enrollment. So that's pretty much what I was saying. Like, yes, they are the expert as long as you're actually part of that system. Once you're out of that system and you've said, hey, we're making a different choice, you're out of that system. And they don't have that authority anymore. So that's much like when you have a job and you decide to resign. You know, how weird would it be for your boss to come and say, hey, look, no, I don't think that's the best thing for you. I think you should just stay here. This is the best place for you. Like, you know, like, that's kind of the equivalent. If your school wants to put up a fight and they want to refuse you taking your child out, you can remind them that the law does not define any school staff as holding the right to keep your child enrolled. It just makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh because when we're in that system, it can all seem so scary. But once you're out of that and you're sort of just following a different path, you can look at that system and go, it's just so different. So different to how I live my life now. So yeah. All right. So one more thing that I wanted to go through with you was the question, do I need to be qualified to home educate my child? You don't actually need any qualifications, like, at all. You could have not finished high school and it is still your right as a parent of that child to choose a different home education path for your child. So you don't have to, like, whether you're qualified in your own education path or not has nothing to do with what your child ends up doing on their education path. So that's why it doesn't really matter if you're qualified with anything at all. There are many homeschool parents that are teachers and they've stopped their teaching career, like, you know, changed their career to become a home educating parent. Being a home educating parent is completely different to actually being a teacher. So, you know, the mainstream society would be like, oh, wow, they're a teacher. Yeah, no wonder they're homeschooling their own children. But that what they don't realize is these very teachers who have withdrawn from their careers to home educate their kids will say home education is completely different to school. Like, it really, really is. When I first made the decision to homeschool, I had a very, very close friend of mine. She is a school teacher, has been for many, and she actually got upset at me. She was like, what makes you think you can home educate a kid when I went to uni for 4 years to get my degree? And thankfully, I had already done a lot of like research on homeschooling and what it can mean. And yeah, my heart went out to her, and I was thinking, I'm going to lose this friendship here, and I don't want to. So to her, I get that you're frustrated because you do have a wonderful job and a very difficult job, but I'm only going to be facilitating education for one child. I don't have a classroom of 26 to 30 kids. And so, yeah. Also, it is for a teacher, like, they literally have to teach every single thing. Like, they don't get to bring someone in to teach a certain subject. Whereas that's what us parents can do. Us home educating parents, it's not up to us to teach every single thing. We can. But if we can't, there are so many things, so many options for homeschool parents to be able to then just facilitate the learning for their child. Okay, so like, for example, me, I hated science with a passion all throughout high school. That was like my worst subject. I swear I got D's more often than not with science. Science does not fit inside my head. Then when I went to uni and studied psychology, and it was like 50% of the degree was biology, the biology of the brain, I absolutely loved it. And I was like, oh, how am I enjoying biology of the brain when I hated science? Well, I enjoyed it because I was doing something that I actually had a deep interest in. So that's the best way to learn, really. Clue number one. But therefore, when it's come to science and my kid, I've taken her along to science classes, or I've had a tutor. She had a tutor for many years, and she had a passion for science, so she incorporated a lot of science in the sessions that they did together. There's always YouTube videos, there's documentaries, there's programs you could buy if you want to, there's online classes you could sign up to, there's like lots and lots of things. And also, don't forget that just life in and of itself is our teacher. That is a big, big thing. If you start meeting up with other homeschool parents, you will very quickly learn that life, that is a big, big philosophy. Life is our teacher. So things like hubby changing, filling the swimming pool with chlorine, and that was a science lesson in itself, and how it changes the water and why we were doing it, and things like that. You know what I mean? Those little things that we take for granted in life are our biggest teachers, and we don't specifically always need a very highly structured lesson with end objective to it. You know what I mean? So, okay. All right. I'm not going to ramble anymore. All right. Those are the things that I wanted to go through with you first of all. So, if you're on Facebook and you would like to ask many questions, there is an awesome Facebook group. I have to say 2 awesome Facebook groups that are really good for home educating parents. One is called Free to Homeschool. So free number 2 homeschool. And the other one is called, I think it's called Educating Parents, Homeschooling, Unschooling, etc. Anyway, keep those words in mind. When I see you, I will actually write these down. So, but keep those words in mind. It is educating parents. And that's like an Australia-wide one. And there's lots and lots of information. If ever you have a question, just jump into those groups. You can like type in like a few words, and whatever posts have been done on that topic will come up, and they could help you. If they don't help you, you can put up your own post and say, hey guys, I'm struggling with this, like I don't know what to do, or what was your experience, this is how old my children are, I've given it all I've got, but now we've hit a stalemate, or what do you do when your child's no longer interested in this, like all those kinds of questions you can ask in those two main groups. I highly recommend, and they're very, very busy and active groups. Like there's always someone on there ready to answer some questions. All right, I can't wait to catch up. We'll see you. Bye.